Hello viewers, this is Lina Tamrat. I'm here once again with Dr. Gezahegn to discuss about women's involvement in public procurement aspects. And as I started with His Excellency Kebede to discuss about this women's procurement aspects in Ethiopia, I also asked Dr. Gezahegn about himself first and his engagement in as an ambassador in this campaign. So first of all, welcome, Doctor.
Thank you.
Say something about yourself to the viewers.
I'm Gezahegn Kebede,
the
country director of Oxfam in Ethiopia.
Okay. So how do you see your involvement as ambassador in encouraging women to this public procurement aspects?
Well, the ambassadorship is just a vehicle to kind of support the initiative in whatever way the organizers and those who are behind the initiative are trying to do their job. And the whole thing is related to advocacy work and getting some messages to people who are not, for one or the other reason, aware of the situation that we are concerned about. And it's just to really connect with those who can contribute to the change that needs to happen in terms of the issue at hand, which is, small and medium enterprises, opportunities for getting access to government procurement processes and systems.
How do you see women's involvement in public procurement aspects? It is known that this public procurement is mainly dominated by men in Ethiopia. So have you ever studied some papers about women's involvement on public procurement?
I'm not aware of any specific research that was made in relation to this subject, but like in any other sector, like in any other way of engagement in our societal, deliberations, the role of women, not the role, the legitimate role, but the opportunity that is given for women is not as much as expected, and procurement is not an exception. And more so, when we talk about procurement, we were speaking about systems, about procedures, about different kinds of expectations that any institution that procures materials or services would require from a supplier. And it's a relationship between a procurer, someone who procures materials and services, and a supplier. So it's the supply side which is of a concern at the moment, because whoever wants to really get some services or products would like to have what we call value for money, and for the amount of money paid, the right quality of product are needed to be there. And for that, people need to be, whoever the supplier is, whether men or women, need to be positioned in such a way that they are ready to supply the required commodities and services. So when we look at how women are involved, definitely because of the stereotype, because of the whole issue of the role and opportunity that is available for women, women have not been in the forefront on this, and definitely they are not beneficiaries of the system.
Yeah, and in the paper presented earlier, they say we need to incorporate in the policy aspects, and the government should give such percentage for women to engage in public procurement. And as an ambassador, what do you think of this policy involvement for women to engage in public procurement aspects?
Yeah, in my view, I think the problem and the challenge is so enormous, and there is no way by which you just push one button and get a solution. There must be multiple fronts on which anybody who is concerned about the issue should be able to work. One front is the policy related to government. Definitely it has to be worked on. And we have to, first of all, enlighten people who are making decisions on procurement matters, or those who are responsible for coming up with any legislation related to this, so that they understand what the advantages would be by engaging more and more women into the whole procurement process. Once they are comfortable and believe that this is something that we should go on as a nation, definitely the policy dimension will be taken care of. But it just doesn't stop there. How about you have a policy and then what? You know, the implementation requires, as I said, the relationship between the procuring agency and the supplying agency, and that relationship is built and strengthened on the basis of the quality of the products and services that are relevant. So for us to see that women succeed in this, we need to really look into what is it that women need to be doing in order to improve their business, in order to come up or even engage in procurement services. And procurement is not a simple thing, you know. It requires knowledge to understand and analyze any bid document, any documentation that is issued by the procuring agency, and how many of small and medium enterprises owned by women are capable and ready really to challenge this, to face this challenge, is a question that we also have to work together. So the policy front, yes, it is needed, but at the same time, in terms of strengthening the capacity of women entrepreneurs, that's something that has to be worked on. And that also has got various dimensions. You have to work with individuals, you have to work with institutions, you have to work with systems that come into play in terms of facilitating this whole process.
Finally, I will ask you about the awareness created for women to engage in this public procurement aspects. Maybe the government have put this platform for them to compete and have this opportunity, but they may not be able to understand or get this information. So I think one of the pre-holding things is that these women with business, they don't know how, maybe, and they don't get these informations so that they could engage in this public procurement aspects. So what do you think of this awareness and equipment, equipping with the capacity for them to compete with male so that they could get this opportunity? What do you think of awareness? How can we access this awareness for women?
Yeah, as we know, the whole advocacy cycle doesn't stop by change of policies. As we said, you know, policies might change, but the practices may not be implemented because people may not be aware of what they should be doing or why should they be doing. You know, even if you know, there are certain headways in making some kind of practical achievements, there are what we call this beyond practices. There are beliefs and perceptions that even certain women themselves may not necessarily see that this is their area of, you know, concern, or they really need to fight for this kind of thing. They may be satisfied by what they have, and they may not necessarily be ready to challenge. But you know, any action, any move forward depends on the amount of knowledge that you have about the subject.
Definitely.
If you don't know sufficiently, or you think you know, but you may not know, then you are not able to really achieve what you want to achieve. Therefore, creating that kind of awareness for the women themselves, for their environment, for those who actually make or break their, you know, willingness, which is definitely the men within different contexts. That kind of awareness of why is it important to bring women into all this game? Is it who is going to benefit out of it? You know, that kind of information needs to really reach those who need to change their attitudes. Sometimes it is also belief in some cultures. No, women should not be involved. You know? Somebody was just, I think it was Solomon earlier in the discussion, his presentation was saying, men can only, you know, in the networking aspect of what he said, men can very easily engage. They can go to some cafes and this, engage with this and with that. If you talk to a woman to do the same, no, the first answer that you'll be getting, no, that's not the job of women. So what prevents women from going there and doing the same? In principle, there shouldn't be anything that prevents her. But the mindset of the society, even if the woman or the lady goes to a certain cafe to really make a business deal or get some information from some business people, the way she's looked at, the way she's perceived, is not in in a positive way.
Definitely.
That's a prohibitive kind of environment and culture that we have. So we all have to work around those. Awareness actually involves those kinds of things as well.
Thank you very much, viewers. I'm here with Dr. Gezahegn, who's the country director for Oxfam, Ethiopia. So we're happy to have him as an ambassador to encourage women and create a platform of opportunity for women to engage in public procurement aspects.